Welcome into the live stream for McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. We'll get started here pretty quick. Tyler, how are you?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. A little busy day. I got football, followed by basketball. So I've got
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Got that part of the season where things overlap and it gets pretty busy.
Let's go.
So,
A little nice and warm outside today.
Yeah, a little chilly.
It's right up your alley.
Chilly. I do not mind this weather. Does not bother me a bit.
I hate the first part of it though.
When you're not acclimated,
Dude, I'm hurting. Today's not good for your boy. I'm a 264-year-old man in the body of a 45-year-old.
I'm catching up with you as you just saw me limping by you a second ago. So I'm there.
No, it's been a good week, man. We got took the kids did a little Friday night football. The Chargers won the region.
Saw that. Congrats to the Chargers.
I got some funny stories about that when we get started, but yeah, they won the region. They'll play I think Hernando Thursday night, and then they host the first round playoff game. So had that, then took the fam. We went to the Ole Miss Vandy game, and the most interesting thing that happened there was a guy got arrested like right next to me, and I don't even know if they got the right guy or not.
I heard they got the wrong guy.
It was wild, man. That was the most interesting thing because that was like watching paint dry, watching that football game. Vandy's bad, dude. God, they're bad.
Yeah, they're really bad. I had a conversation about that the other day. All right, let's get rolling.
Let's crank it up, dude.
Welcome into another edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That's Tyler Siskey here for episode 124. Geoff Collins will join us in a few minutes, and we'll talk about the weekend that was in college football as we get ready for a really pretty big weekend of college football this weekend. A lot of games on the slate. In case you didn't know, CBS did the obvious thing for CBS. It was not all of next week's games. They did the 6-day window to see what happens this weekend. So it's a really big weekend of football. The college football playoff initial thing comes out tomorrow, so a lot to talk about. So we'll get to all of those things momentarily. First, I'll tell you that we're brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, and zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
Neal, I'm rocking with the Valencia orange today. Put it in the freezer, got a little slush in it. And I'm going with the I need a rain. I'm a little under the weather, not bad. Just it's cold, I'm hurting. I'm going with try to get a little extra. I'm going to make myself believe this is going to make me feel better. So I'm rolling with the Valencia orange.
Okay.
And Neal, I can tell that
vitamins in there.
Yes, we got all kinds of stuff. I'd like to read it on the back of the can, but my eyes are no longer on my head. I'm going to have to pass it to you, let you read it. But no, it really does. It makes I feel better once I drink it. And Neal, as you also know, the Cooper Chevrolet chat is already hopping. Cooper Chevrolet in Anniston is busting high interest rates with super low financing and no payments for 90 days on most SUVs. Get 2.9% APR or over $4,200 off the Chevy Equinox. You can also get 2.1% APR on the Blazer, Trailblazer, and Traverse, which is what I just purchased, by the way. Even on the Silverado Heavy Duty. Learn more at cooperchevrolet.com.
All of our MPW digital content also presented by Twisted Tea. I'll tell you more about Twisted Tea a little bit later in the show, unless I forget, at which point I'll get really mad at myself for forgetting, but I probably won't forget about it because I've talked about it now. Basically, if you're ready to elevate your college football game day experience, Twisted Tea can help. It's your game day beverage for college football fans.
Yeah, what we're waiting on, Geoff. Friday night. The quarterback they played Lewisburg. The quarterback at Lewisburg, he could spin it now. I had to look him up. I was like, who's this cat? He can really spin it.
That's a big school, and it's just right. They just built it in the middle of nowhere. Just a big school. All that growth out of Memphis, people moving to North Mississippi. It's just we need a school. Let's just build one, and they built one like out in like a pasture. Basically, it's huge. It's really nice.
What is the loop?
I don't know. I'm not
the loop that goes from Tunica all the way to Millington.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's right in the middle of that.
269.
269.
Yeah.
It's right off of that, about 7 miles off to be exact, 7.2 miles off. But no, they had the quarterback really spinning, did a really good job. I had to my experience is I had to first time ever. I don't do well watching games. I had to get up and move seats after about a quarter and a half.
Why?
I was actually texting Chase because his brother coaches, and I actually I did film the guy off. I was trying to be inconspicuous. That just wearing the coaches out for no reason. Like, you know how fans get. Like, I can't stand it.
Where are the Oxford coaches out?
Oxford coaches. It was like 4th and 36. Okay, 4th and 36 in the first quarter. Oxford only had 10 guys on the punt team. So, cut, doing what you should do. Just take the delay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. What's different?
Save a timeout.
4th and 41,
This
4th
guy
and 36.
is wearing the coaches out for not taking a timeout and getting to delay a game because, by gosh, he didn't want 4th and 41. He wanted to punt from 4th and 36. I mean, just wearing them out like bad. And then the quarterback, they were running some kind of post read or something. I don't remember, but the quarterback threw into double coverage. He starts yelling at the coaches to stop calling plays that the quarterback has to throw the ball into double coverage. And I at that point, I just had to get up and walk away. I got up and I saw a friend of mine sitting over there, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm coming to sit next to you. I can't." I had great seats. I was like midfield. But it was to the point that my son, after the game, he came home and he goes, "Dad, did you hear that crazy guy from the stands?" I said, "Yep, I sure did. I did. I can't do it, man."
So he was an Oxford guy that made the
It was
trip?
an Oxford guy.
Because the game was up there, right?
It was up there. It was an Oxford guy. Yeah, man.
Wow.
I got him on film. I'll show him to you later.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was a tight game. They won. I think they won by 7, but it was good. I'll text Jeff. You got anything else got to pay before we get out of here?
I'll just go ahead and tell you about Twisted Tea. It's unlike any hard beverage you've had before. It's made with real brewed tea, packs a flavorful punch, 5% alcohol, no carbonation, delivering the perfect balance of taste and refreshment that goes down smooth for every game day occasion. There's no need to settle for the usual. Twisted Tea turns up any occasion, especially when you're cheering for your favorite team. Whether you're tailgating in the stadium parking lot, watching at a bar, or hosting friends at home, Twisted Tea is there to elevate game day experience. It perfectly complements your love for college football and your passion for creating unforgettable moments. So let's toast to unforgettable game day experiences with Twisted Tea, the drink that fuels fun and celebrates your love for college football. Keep it twisted.
I'm just glad that also OPC, they came to their senses today and canceled the flag football games for tonight.
Oh, yeah, it was smart.
Dude,
Come on. It's going to be a little chilly.
my wife said they were going to roll it. So, well, waiting on Jeff.
You know it's soccer season because here comes the heat, here comes the cold.
Dude,
Here it comes.
I don't do well with cold.
There are some soccer games where for high school, that time of the year, you get the heater.
Yeah, we're still here. We got my man Scoops on the producing button. You do a good job with that producing deal. There he is.
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, the minister of mayhem himself, Geoff Collins. How we doing, brother?
Doing great, man.
I thought you were dressing up today.
I am. This is my Halloween costume.
Oh, I like that. I like
okay.
that.
All right.
So my daughter's going as a skeleton rock star, and I'm her bouncer.
Okay, you're security.
I got the Ronnie James Dio hard rock hand signal on the hat, and so I'm ready to roll.
You never know what weather you're going to get for Halloween. Some years in the South, it's hot on Halloween. This is going to be one of those years where it's going to be really cold on Halloween.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how that impacts trick-or-treat strategy tomorrow. Because if you're a trick-or-treater, you start getting a little cold, you got to spread the word as to which house has the good candy and which house is not worth the trouble. Because unless you can handle the cold, at which point you have an advantage because there might be more candy for you. But if you are making a decision of like, hey, it's getting a little chilly, maybe it's time to start wrapping this up, you if you find out a house is passing out like just a little lollipop or something, you're like, I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to go to the one that's got the Reese's or whatnot.
I didn't even ask my wife. We usually have a Halloween party. I don't know if we're having one or not. I probably should know that, but
Sure, I've already been to two so far. We had a birthday Halloween party we went to Friday night, and then we had one on Saturday late afternoon during the cocktail party.
there you go. Did you go back to back? Did you turn them up, or did you go no alcohol on the trip?
So I don't drink, so that was easy for me. But we went to both of those parties. I got the easy way out. We went as New England leaf lookers, Instagrammers, to both of those parties. So my wife had this cardboard, like an Instagram frame that she just carried around with her, and she was all decked out. And I just wore a nice little jogger, whatever tracksuit outfit and a hat. And I carried a Starbucks cup around. Uniform outfit, costume was pretty simple for the kids.
That was well done.
If you have to go to another Halloween party, you will start drinking. You'll that's how that works. All right. Speaking of Halloween, here you go. What the key question is, because Neal teed it up. All right, it's gonna be cold tomorrow night, so the kids need to know where all the good candy is. What are the Collins passing out for Halloween candy tomorrow night?
Yeah, so the little neighborhood we live in right now, there's only 5 houses on the whole block, so we literally got zero traffic last year. But I am a big king size candy bar dude.
Wow!
I want to be the house that crew that there's some good people a year, and you can have your reputation set around the neighborhood for the rest of the 364 days. So do king size Reese's cups, king size Snickers, Baby Ruths, and keep the people happy.
Baby Ruth. I haven't had a Baby Ruth in a minute. I think every time I have them is on Halloween.
And I don't know if kids these days even know what one is, so I tried to educate the youth.
There you go.
Of Atlanta with some Baby Ruths.
All right, favorite candy bar. You got one candy bar to eat. What are you going with?
I just said it right there. That's it.
Really, Neal, what do you got? You got one candy bar. What you rolling with?
One candy bar?
Yeah. World's coming to an end. It may be actually, but world's coming to an end. You got one candy bar to eat. What you rolling with?
So it'd be one of two. It would either be Snickers or Baby Ruth, and it'd be a really close call.
Really? You got some Baby Ruth people up in here.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing better than
still sell it. That's why.
Yeah.
My mom loves Baby Ruth, and so as a kid, I remember having Baby Ruth, and those were awesome. Now, if you count Reese's cups as a candy bar, that's going to get in the competition at that point.
Well,
because that's going to be a serious competitor. It just is.
I do count it, and that is mine.
Okay.
I was raised on Reese cups and Dr. Pepper. That's what I was raised on. My mom, she loves her some. Right now, telling this, I'm getting my ass ripped by my mother, but she would throw down some Reese cups and some Dr. Peppers. That was the thing. So and to the point, she has trained me, and I can tell you if the Reese cup is fresh or not.
Oh,
yes,
how about that?
And it's all about
that's a big household too.
Yeah, and it's all about the peanut butter and chocolate ratio. Okay, so you can't go get like those big Easter bunnies that they make. Nope, too much peanut butter. You can't get the thins. They make those. Nope, too much chocolate. But the best is the big eggs for Easter or the Christmas tree or the big ones. They got that figured out.
This might be the highest rated show
yes.
of all time, just talking Halloween treats.
That's it. All right, here we go.
All right, as you get older, do you eat sweets more now than you did when you were a kid or less?
Ooh. I'm a big sweets guy, so I don't know. Probably ask my wife, she'll tell you more, but I don't know.
And I'd say overall in general, it's less. But when I do get after it, I just go on a binge, and it's a 48-hour, just a run of sweets, and then I can temper it down a little bit. But
yeah, I don't know, man. I crush them. I like sweets. I mean, I literally I made some vegetable beef soup over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I went home for lunch today, and I had a bowl of that, and then I had 2 chocolate chip cookies that my mother sent for the kids. There you go. All right, here we go. All right, so I want to ask you this. We got some serious football stuff here. Interested to get your thoughts on this. All right, so Neal, one of Neal's favorite quotes he's ever been told by a coach was, "The fans remember what you do in November." So that's a big thing for Neal. One of his favorite coaches told him that. See, look at. So my question to you is this. All right, twofold here. We sit here, we start November here on Wednesday. At the end of the month, who's in Atlanta in the SEC? Who's in Atlanta? And then the second part of this question, which we'll get to after we talk about that, is give Neal time to think about this too, is what team or teams out there do you think at the end of November we're going to have a different opinion than we have about them right now?
So I think this weekend is huge for who's going to get to Atlanta. So you got Alabama, LSU. That's going to say who's in the West, who's from the West. I got to go with Alabama on that one. I just think it's more of a complete team, defense, the whole deal. And then the game that's happening over in Athens, Missouri rolling into Athens. I'm going to go with Georgia in it. Getting to Atlanta, but I think this weekend those two games are going to be critical for who plays for the championship.
All right, let me ask this because I'm curious because we do this and I get why we do it. They've won 25 in a row now.
It's a bunch.
You see them, you saw them in person, and sometimes sometimes I think they get a little bored and play with their food. Speaking of candy, but when they're dialed in, they don't look beatable to me. Jeff, is there? In your mind, this is no insult to Missouri. This is no insult to Ole Miss. This is no insult to Alabama at all. All three really good teams. Put their records together, they're doing really well. Can any of those teams, if Georgia's dialed in and playing well, can any of those teams beat Georgia?
I don't know that anybody can. And I know we're going to talk about the playoff predictions, all those kind of things, but I don't see when they are dialed in and it is. They have that chip on their shoulder and they're clicking on all cylinders. That's a tough outfit to beat. You saw what they did, against the Florida team that had started figuring things out, and they went down to Jacksonville, and Lad McConkey was back, and he had some great plays, and Stetson looked really good. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the reason that I brought that up, Tyler and Jeff, is yesterday I'm a big NBA guy, and we were watching the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets.
Right.
And on Friday night, Denver played at Houston, and at Memphis, and they weren't super checked in. They played, and they ended up winning the game, but they weren't dialed in. In an 82-game season, you're not going to be dialed in every night. You're just not. Right. But they were dialed in Sunday. Like they'd heard all the hype about the Thunder and all Chet Holmgren and all that stuff, and they were dialed in, and they just mauled them. And it was like, my son's a big Thunder fan, and he's like, boy, this is rough. And I'm like, well, no, not really. I mean, sometimes you get a barometer, and sometimes you get a thing. And I said, and sometimes you just go, hey, those are the champs, and that's what champs look like. And there were parts of the game on Saturday against Florida where I just watched Georgia, and it was like, that's what champs look like, period.
Right. And then all they're hearing right now is how well Missouri played them last year and how that was the best played game of all year against, Georgia. And they're going to hear that all week too. And I don't think that's going to sit well with many people over in the Butch-Meir building over there.
Well, that's the thing is like, we used to have this saying about Alabama is don't poke the bear. There's no reason to. Well, Missouri doesn't even have to poke the bear.
I was going to say, Missouri's not even the ones doing the poking.
But people are going to poke the bear this week because Missouri's had a great year, phenomenal year. They're coming in, they're ranked 15th this week, somewhere around there?
14th, I think, but yeah.
But they've lost one game.
They're 14th in the country.
I mean, their only loss is to a close loss to LSU at home.
In a game that they easily could have won, yeah.
Then they played so well, they're better than last year. When Georgia – this is probably what I noticed the most. Georgia looks like a bored football team. And when they're not bored, they kick your ass. And they were not bored because it was the Florida-Georgia game. And Florida didn't they didn't play bad. You know what I mean? Like they didn't play bad.
Right. That's kind of what I meant. Was sometimes you just go, hey, that team is just significantly better than that team. It's not about anything more than that. And
you look at the other thing is, how we talk about when you play games like that, you got to go to win those games. And Billy was trying to win the game. He was going forward on 4th and 1 and all that stuff. They stuff him. And then what does Georgia do? They don't play with their food. They go score. And so they expand it. And so when teams like you have to play that way, but man, they capitalize in big games. They capitalize on it. They're tough to beat. But you wait, because this is going to lead us into the next question here. I guarantee you wait till tomorrow because the official college football playoff rankings come out. I don't understand. It blows my mind how some of these I don't know if it's Georgia fatigue already. And I get the Alabama fatigue. It's been going for 15 years. But the Georgia fatigue, there will be people that do not have Georgia ranked number 1 going into the college football playoff. You watch. And then
you see some of the early ones, they have them in the first 2 out.
Oh, I saw somebody. I forgot who it was. I turned it off. I saw that the other day on ESPN. I said, get this guy off the freaking air. How do you have a team, literally their last loss was to Alabama in the SEC championship game 2 years ago. That was their last loss.
That's right.
That was the last time they lost. And by the way, before that, they didn't lose until the year before in the playoffs, right?
So I'm doing the math on this. So 2, 15 to 17, and they've won 25 in a row.
The all-time record was like 28 or 29. And if
you know how freaking hard it is to win 25 games in a row in college, yeah, you guys do.
No, I don't because I've never done it.
Well, I mean, it's not even fathomable, right? I mean, and they just keep winning. So of course, yeah, there's some Georgia fatigue, and I think there are people that they try to create because it's a more compelling storyline for media to go, these are the 4 teams that could beat Georgia, as opposed to someone like me going, I don't think anybody's beating Georgia.
I mean, sure they could. Don't get me wrong, they could, but like
no. But here's that's
you got to go. They owe respect, right?
There's two things, right? And Jeff, you know what I'm about to say. Can Georgia lose a football game? Sure, they could have a day where they're not particularly dialed in and they're not sharp, and the other team plays out of their mind. Villanova versus Georgetown back in the day when Villanova shot 79% from the floor, right? It couldn't do it again to save their lives, but they did it on the one night that counted, and they got it. Yeah, that could happen. But what I'm saying is if there's a night or a day or whatever when Georgia is dialed in and they're just playing their game, I don't know that I've seen a team who could beat them.
No, I agree. All right, with that being said, we'll dial this up. This is your chance, okay? This is your chance. Who is in, if this was ESPN, who is in Geoff Collins' college football playoff top 4, and who, but since the rankings are coming out tomorrow night, and who are your first 2 out?
So the first 2 in is 2 teams that I've seen up close and in person, and that would be the Georgia Bulldogs at number 1 and the Michigan Wolverines at number 2. I just think just the roster, the coaching, everything top to bottom, those are the 2 elite teams in college football. And then you got to go with Washington. I just think they're another team that I haven't seen them in person, but just looks like a complete team, offense, defense, special teams, quarterback play, mojo, vibe, the whole deal. And they've had some really good opponents that they've had to beat too. And then 4th, I would have to go with the Buckeyes. So I put them at 4th, and then the first 2 out. You got to stay with undefeated. So Power 5 level undefeated, even though I think there is the league they play in isn't quite the Big Ten or the SEC, is down a little bit. But Florida State, I think, Norvell's done a really good job there and utilizing the portal and all those kind of things. And then there's a lot of good 1-loss teams. But the one that's the highest for me is Oregon. Little Patrick Nix's son out there doing some work. So
they're good.
Yep, really good. And there's a lot of good 1-loss teams too. But I just think they're the best, of those.
That's what's going to be fascinating to me. Is why I'm so glad we're going to 12, right? So Oregon and Washington are probably going to play each other again.
The winner gets in.
And so let's say Oregon wins by 3 points.
Okay.
I mean, totally conceivable. Okay, well, that 3-point win means more than the win from earlier. And I know you can't let them both in, so you got to do something. I get it, but it's just like.
Well, they're going to use the excuse of the conference champ.
Yeah, right.
I agree with you.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, just.
Well, same thing with you're going to have the same. Well, not anymore. I was about to say you almost had the same thing with Oklahoma and Texas, but Kansas said, hold my beer and watch this.
How about the job Lance Leipold's done?
He's good, man.
Man, wow. That was one hell of a remarkable environment. I mean, it just wasn't that long ago that Kansas sucked. No offense to everybody who was at Kansas, but it wasn't working. And he's made them that is, as Oklahoma can attest, that is no longer a freebie.
No, they got Daniels, our quarterback's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's electric.
Oh, dude,
What's that?
he can fly.
He can
He
roll.
can fly.
He can
Yep.
roll. My college football playoff and yours are extremely close, except for I do have Florida State in. I think I got them I got them at 4, and I have my first team out is Oregon. My first team out is Oregon, and I
Yep.
put Ohio State at 6. I think they're so limited at the quarterback position. It
Sure.
is going to bite them.
And here's the thing: that deal's going to work its way out because they're going to play.
Big Ten champs going to be in.
They're going to play each other.
Yeah. Big Ten champs in.
And then they're going to have to play Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers out of the West in the championship game. So that's my big addition to the show for the day.
All right, real quick before we let you out of here, what SEC team do you think in November has a chance to change the narrative about their season in a good way?
Yeah, the schedules. Some of them have been very front heavy, which has hurt them. But I gotta imagine. I'm gonna go with my heart a little bit and talk about South Carolina. I think they're going to put together a 4-game stretch that's going to be pretty good, and they did it last year. Down the stretch, and I think the way Shane coaches and continues to pour into those guys in that program. That's the one without looking at everything else. I'll just speak from my heart on that one.
Do you know who I think is going to end up changing the narrative a little bit?
Who?
The Auburn Tigers.
Okay.
They got to go play Vandy.
Yep.
They play Arkansas. They play New Mexico State in a row.
Yep.
Boom, boom, boom. They can win all 3 of those games.
Sure.
Now, that would give them 7-4 going to having to play Alabama at home, but that would give them some momentum because as bad as they've been offensively, so have those other teams. I watched Vanderbilt. I think us 3 could play 3-11 and go take on the Vanderbilt Commodores right now.
There are some scenarios out there where there will be a lot of Auburn fans that last weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
Hey, how great? Hey, you know what I low key really want? You know what I really want? I want the week after the rough week that Hugh had with the Ole Miss fan base for Ole Miss to need Hugh Freeze to beat Alabama last weekend. That'd be the most. That would be the most karma thing of all time.
The football gods, you would know that the football gods had been drinking at that point. They had just a few too many on Thanksgiving, and they're like, you know what? Let's do this.
I was just kidding, Hugh. I was just kidding, man.
Yeah.
I was just kidding. No, I need you this week. I was just kidding.
He had Peyton spinning that thing on Saturday, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we're going to talk about the games a little bit, but yeah, that was interesting. You know who else I think can really change the standard on where they sit, creating momentum? There's 2 teams in the East, I think, that can do this too. One is Tennessee because they got to play Georgia and Missouri. Okay, and
right.
if they can, depending on what they do there, and then Florida.
Right.
If they can do what they're going to do, I think they handle business against Arkansas this week at home. And then they got this little team called Florida State that's going to come in undefeated in a rivalry game in Gainesville. That thing could get weird. You know what I mean?
Right.
Although Jordan Travis could close his eyes and just throw it to Keon Coleman anytime he wants to for a touchdown. That guy's a beast.
He is.
The guy's unbelievable. He is. If there's a better receiver, I think he's better than Marvin Harrison Jr. I think this guy's legit. I mean,
Marvin is so smooth and technical, but Keon is just. He's just a presence.
Oh, the NFL as receiver happy as the NFL is. Those 3 guys, Malik Neighbors being the other one.
Yeah,
right.
There's some NFL guys that are like, hey, let's make sure we get the right one of these. And then I don't know that there's a wrong one in that group.
I think they'll take Harrison Jr. first because one of where he's come they have a good track record there of dudes, but then 2 is his dad, and he understands the NFL and what it takes and all that stuff. He's probably he's the best anyway, arguably the best anyway, but he's got the pedigree and then understands how to be a pro. So he'll probably get picked ahead of him, I imagine.
You just tell when he speaks how polished and professional and gracious, and I was impressed with him after the game when they played Wisconsin. Just the the way he spoke and communicated, and he's a baller too.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Well, brother, I appreciate the hell out of you, man.
Y'all enjoy Halloween, fellas.
Happy Halloween.
You bet, brother. Have a good one, bro.
Yep.
All right. Before we get started, Grind says, I remember when Siskey said Keon Coleman was slow. In the Cooper Chevrolet chat, Grind says, I remember when Siskey said Keon Coleman was slow as Christmas in the offseason. I believe I was referring to Franklin, right? I didn't say that about Keon Coleman.
No, you were talking about Zachary Franklin.
Yeah. I didn't remember saying that about Keon Coleman. Now, Franklin, yes. That's why he's not playing a lot. All right.
One of the reasons.
One of the reasons, yeah. That and his knee. And some other things. Neal, do you know what time it is?
Yep. This is the beginning of the inevitable slide towards me losing this competition. It's been inevitable all along. It's why people are like, how come you never – I've gotten this one a few times. How come you never trash talk? I'm like, because I'm going to lose. I'm not going to add fuel.
Are you already
to
giving
it.
up?
Yes, 1,000,000%. I have no chance. No chance. I could have been up 35 units and I'd have been like, I'm going to lose. I know I'm losing. We did this last year. This is not a dramatic thing here. This is inevitable. I'll concede now if you want me to.
Really?
Absolutely, 100%. This is absolutely inevitable.
I can't do that to you. It's time for Make It Rain.
And for the people out there, by the way, that want to add to the loss, no, I'm not adding more things. I'm not doing the stupid Texas A&M cheer shit on the side. No, I'm not mimicking that. And I love how people who would never do it are like, what if we give to charity? How about this? If you're that charitable, just give to the damn charity. I'm cool with that. I'm not. That's great. I raised tens of thousands of dollars once, ran a marathon for charity. I'm all for charity. In fact, I've done that twice. But no, I'm not. I've done it 3 times.
Played golf too.
I've done it 3 times. I've played golf for charity and made an absolute fool out of myself playing a game that I don't really like and hit like 100. I hit so many shots that I was sore the next day. So no, I'm not adding to the loss. You want to go film yourself doing the weird Texas A&M crap? Go for it. Have at it.
Send it to us. We'll post it.
I mean, but I'm not doing that. So I know what my punishment is. I'm going to go to an airport and find out that I'm flying to God only knows where, and then I'll have to figure out my way back.
Oh, that's great.
As my wife goes, why do you agree to do this? And I'll say, it's a fair question on your part. But I'll do it. I'll film myself. I'll send the videos to Cole, and he can post them, and it'll be perfectly fine. But I'm not adding to it. That's why when this thing got started, like, well, why don't you get attacked by a police dog? And I'm like, because I'm going to lose.
That was a winner, by the way. That would have been gold for the show. You got to think for the show, Neal. Got to think for the show.
Yeah,
it'd been over quick.
But I didn't want to get attacked by a police dog.
It wasn't gonna hurt you.
There was no guarantee that it wouldn't hurt me.
They wasn't gonna let that happen.
Yeah, that's never. That's never gone wrong. Never, not one time.
We had police people in here that were saying they would.
All right, I have all the respect in the world for law enforcement, but occasionally it goes wrong.
All right. Do you have the? I know I'm hijacking you here real quick. Do you have the link for BetOnline?
Yeah, I can go get it. Yeah.
All right. While you're looking for that, this brought to you by BetOnline.ag. The McCready Siskey picks, the Mega Rain picks. Neal.
And my flight must be in the United States. I don't even have a passport, so it's not going elsewhere.
I'll send you to Gaza.
I won't make it long.
All right.
I'd make it longer than a lot of these flaming idiot nut jobs who are like, gays for Gaza. I'm like, they'd kill you in 10 seconds. They'd kill you in 10 seconds. What are you doing? Idiots. People are so stupid, man.
I love it. All right. So on the betonline.ag, and by the way, they send us updates. Somebody, Neal, I forgot to tell you this. Somebody that signed up through our deal won $3,000 this weekend. So I don't know who you are that signed up through betonline.ag that won $3,000 this weekend, but hell of a job. Good weekend. I bet he was not fading Siskey because all the fade Siskey trolls, their ass is quiet today. They're quiet, Neal, because they're either broke or I blocked their ass. All right, here we go. Neal, you went 3-6-2. The first time all year that anybody has tied a line, and we did it 3 times between both of us. You went 3-6-2, Neal. You went 2-4 in college, but you did hit your money line, and you went 1-2-2 in the NFL. I'm going to go ahead and say high for the year for your boy. I went 8-2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Went 4-2 in college, lost my money line, and then it went 4-0-1 in the NFL. So we'll start this bad boy off. Neal, you are now, your overall record, you are now 46-46-2. But because you've hit so many money lines, you're actually up 4.27 units. So you've hit 4.27 units worth of money lines. You've hit, I think you may have hit more money lines than you've lost.
I think I've hit 4.
So you're 4 and 5 in money lines then.
May have hit 5.
Yeah, you're
somewhere in there.
You're doing well there. I've only hit 1. I am now 45-48-1. And I'm minus 2.3 units. I found a way to cut the lead by 70%.
Yep.
I made up 8.58 units.
You'll be in the lead by this time next week.
So now, Neal, you lead by 6.57 units. We got a ball game, folks.
No, we don't.
We have a ball game.
This game is over.
I had to talk to Bob. I had my meeting set up with the priest on Wednesday. I said, you know what? Let me back that bad boy up 1 week and just give me one more week to see where we go. All right, Neal. First game, you had Army minus 10. And
total disaster.
And they lose 21-14 to UMass.
Yeah. I actually turned that on for a little while and I went, you know what? This is the true story. I think I am going to go rake the leaves. True story.
That one surprised me. That one, I was with you on that one. That one surprised me. Surprise number 2, Neal. So that didn't get your Saturday started off great. Then you had the App State Mountaineers minus 17 versus Southern Miss. And they actually came back and won the game. They were down big.
Yep.
They come back and win the game 48-38 against Southern Miss, but did not cover. Then you had South Alabama, our boy Kane, and them minus 10.5 at home versus ULL.
That was not good.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was not good.
They were down. They got down big. They came back, and then ULL got them again at the end. They lose 33-20 at home against ULL, and set up this week the battle for the belt this weekend against Troy on Thursday night in T-Roy. All right, Neal, your one win versus the spread. You had Oklahoma State minus 7. This was easy money. I love this pick so much that I actually bet it personally myself. You had Oklahoma State minus 7 against Cincinnati, and they destroy Cincinnati. They went 45-13. It wasn't even particularly close, even at one moment in the game. They just dominated. Oklahoma State doesn't get enough credit. They have kind of put it together. After they got smoked by South Alabama at home earlier in the year, they've kind of quietly put it together.
Oh, for sure. They're one of a couple of teams in that league that are playing really well that no one's even noticing. The other's Iowa State.
Yeah, my boys. All right, Neal. You also had Texas A&M minus 16 at home versus South Carolina. This number was a little too big. They beat them like that. This game was never even in jeopardy. I'm surprised they didn't cover. They win 30-17 against South Carolina. That was a big number. But
I was a field goal away from pushing.
Yes,
he missed the kick.
Missed the field goal.
That would have given me a push.
Missed the field goal to push. All right, and then we're going to knock out 2 games with 1 here. You doubled me up, or we could have been. This ended up being like a 4-unit swing. You had Arizona money line plus 142, and I took Oregon State minus 3.5. Arizona wins 27-24. I know. Well, you may have stayed up. Did you watch any of this game?
I did. Actually, I got home in time to see that one.
All right, so
I actually stayed up and watched the end of it because I was downloading video and all that stuff. So I watched the end.
All right, first of all, not enough credit. Jed Fish is not getting enough credit.
Agreed.
He's done a great job. I mean, and usually you don't see this. Now he's gone to his freshman quarterback. or I guess his redshirt freshman, however you want to put him, quarterback. And they have played lights out really since the Mississippi State game. They've gotten better every single week. And they got another big one this week. But they've been playing well, man. And here's what Oregon State, I still think Oregon State's a better football team. Oregon State started playing with their food a little bit. I do not understand this call, or we'd had a tie game and at least gone to overtime. At the end of the first half, matter of fact, I had the post-game show on, and I don't think you saw it because you were talking. It was going on behind your head. I don't know if I don't even understand what Smith was thinking, the head coach at Oregon State. All right, so earlier in the second quarter, they line up to kick a field goal. They're down 10-7. Okay,
Yeah.
They line up to kick a field goal, and they get called for delay a game. But they kind of snapped it right at 0. And when they snapped it, the holder takes the ball and he flips it to the kicker who's running an inside trap. But they blow it dead. You just saw what he was doing. All right. And I was like, oh, he's probably pissed that he didn't get to run his fake that he's probably been working on the whole week. And it was like 4th and 2, 4th and 1, something like that. So they backed him up. They kicked a field goal. At the end of the first half, it is 10-10.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 seconds, 2 seconds left, whatever it is. Oregon State's going to line up and kick like a 35-yard field goal. The ball's at like the 20-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of kicking the field goal with 2 seconds to go in a half, he tries the fake that he wanted to run before that, and he fakes it and runs the kicker right off like a trap, like off-tackle trap. He came and kicked out the end, blocked down kick, and he gets down to the 10, but he gets tackled. Like, you're asking your kicker to outrun the defense from the 20-yard line, like up the middle, not going to work. And so that 3 points that he took off the board right there ended up being the difference in going to overtime or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Let me tell you something else I noticed in this game, and they rotated quarterbacks a little bit at Oregon State. DJ, go ahead.
Ungalalale, or I can't say his name.
You can't either. It makes me feel better. He doesn't do well under versus adversity. You could see the panic in his eyes late in the game, and he was looking at he
does not like the road either.
And he was looking at the rush and everything else. Now, when they were down, and he just had to throw it. Yeah, he is. Almost felt defeated. Like the look, he didn't.
I know how he feels.
With a lot of poise.
He knew what was coming. It's kind of like me right now. I know exactly what's coming.
Well, you won that one. You beat me straight up on that one. All right, in my college, Neal, I had the Troy Trojans. Here's to the school we love. We're Trojans, one and all. We'll always cheer for victory and never let us fall. Go fight, win. The Trojans on the road at Texas State win 31-13.
Yep. Had
them favored by 5.5. Troy is playing really well, really good football right now. Game was close for till halftime, and they kind of just extended it in the second half. Really, defense played well in the second half. Troy's a good football team.
South Alabama's going to have their hands full Thursday.
They will. It's going to be, and it's a rivalry game. This game, though, we'll talk about it Thursday, but this is one of the weirdest rivalry games I've ever been a part of. Like, I've been on both sides. We were underdogs one year, huge, and they beat LSU the week before, and we thumped that ass over at Troy. And then the next year we came off. We had beaten like Mississippi State and San Diego State, and they thumped our ass like 21-0. So it's a weird game. All right, Neal, the game that I'm most proud of on my sheet, I had the NC State Wolfpack.
Mm-hmm.
And Grind, I hope you took my advice and took that 290 money line that I advised you to take in the Cooper Chevrolet chat. I didn't get no love. You didn't even let me know if you did it or not. But Grind, I told you, NC State money line, plus 290. They hit. That was as about of dominating performance as you can have. And Dave Doran had some words for Steve Smith after the game. That's a thing. Coaches are getting chippy, man. Coaches are getting chippy. I love it. You know what's great? I had this conversation with my young generation at the office this morning. I can't believe Dave Doran would say that, and he's worried about what this announcer is going to say to him and all that stuff. Like, you take shots, and when people respond, they get their all of a sudden they claim victim. I mean, he just told him he could kiss his ass. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with telling somebody to kiss your ass. But that made my day. No, Clemson's in trouble, man. Do they win? What if Clemson doesn't make a bowl game?
Well,
are we getting in danger?
They're 7-7 in their last 14.
I'm going to tease this a little bit for Tuesday, Neal. I got a theory on this, and it's not just a Clemson thing. I got a theory. I'll talk to you after the show, but I want to talk about it in detail on Tuesday tomorrow. But Clemson fits into this reason.
Okay.
But they're in trouble. All right, Neal. I had the Tennessee Vols -3.5. A really good football game.
Yep.
I watched some of it on my phone while I was at the game the other night, and then I watched it. I went home and watched the whole game. Look, Tennessee played well, and so did Kentucky. That was just a well-played game. Tennessee got up. Kentucky had every chance to quit. They did not. They came back, and they ended up beating them 33-27. When Tennessee can run the football effectively, it's tough for defenses to defend them. We talked about the
Kentucky kind of falling off a little bit.
They played well though.
They got a big game this weekend. They need to win in Starkville.
Yeah. They played well. You know, sometimes you want to say, hey, they didn't do this or do that. Mm-hmm. They played well. It just kind of was what it was. All right, and then the cover of all covers. I had two great covers. This was one of them. I had the under in the Mississippi State Auburn game at 41.5.
That looked to be in jeopardy for a while.
I had it the whole time.
Okay.
Auburn wins 27-13 at 40. I have no idea how this covered.
Well, Mississippi State's punter did you some favors.
He did me some favors. He was launching rockets, getting a pin back. I was very concerned about this one not covering. I was like, I had to wait to the very, very end. Actually made my wife very mad because I would not leave the house until I saw the end of this game. Look, here's the deal. I think there's a lot of overreaction with the Auburn fans about the offense and how good it looked and this and that. They're not. I'm still not there, man. I think their average is grits. Now, what they have below average is averager than grits, more average than grits. They do have a stretch of games here, like I was talking about earlier. I do think they're going to beat Vanderbilt. I do think they're going to beat Arkansas. I do think they'll beat New Mexico State. And you look up, man, they're 7-4. Playing the game against Alabama at home. I do not think they'll win that game, but crazier things have happened. And he's going to need it. If he can put together 4 straight wins here, it's going to get it, they'll be back. All the haters will be gone. Oh, it's the greatest thing ever. And if they win 7 games, I think that's a great season for what they had. Where they started, where they were. They can win 7 games. Good for them. It'll help him in recruiting. They'll start believing again.
I'm still waiting for him to have his annual stinker. So I'm waiting.
It would have to occur in the next 3 weeks.
It'd have to occur in the next 2 weeks. They're not losing to New Mexico State.
They're not so bad now. Hey, remember what I told you about my guy?
Okay.
Quarterback over New Mexico State's fun to watch.
Okay.
But they should not. Yes, I agree. All right, Neal. And then I lose my money line. This is the one game that I lost that I had no chance ever winning. Shocked. I'm going to be honest with you. I was shocked a little bit. Oregon goes to Utah. I had the Utah money line.
See, this was the game that I realized I was losing this competition. Because all week, like in Neal's picks at rebelgrove.com, the one game that I felt most confident about was Oregon. I was like, Oregon's going to beat Utah. They're better than Utah. They're just going to go beat Utah. I knew they would go beat Utah. Did I put it on the sheet? Did not. The other one that I ran my little formula. My little formula said Nevada -1. And at the last minute, I'm like, no, it's a stupid pick. And so I went with Texas A&M. I have no chance. I have no chance.
Have you lost all confidence in your picking abilities right now?
Well, you're talking to somebody who my reservoir of confidence. If I have a water bottle, it's like it's usually about right there. So it doesn't take much for me to go just completely lack of confidence. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's not going to.
You had one bad week, man.
It's not going to change in my 50s.
You just had one bad week.
No, it's over.
You just had one bad week.
Oh no, this next week will be an absolute abortion.
You're a beaut.
It's coming. It's going to be so bad.
You're a beaut. All right. Oregon waxes that ass.
They did.
I'm talking about from the first play until the last play, they kicked their ass.
Yes, they're very, very good.
And look, we can say they'd won 18 in a row or some shit at the house.
You change one play in that Oregon-Washington game, and this is not to minimize it, but Oregon wins, and we're talking about Oregon in a completely different light. Right. Yeah, they're really, really good. That was one where I was like, why anyway.
All right. A couple other games. We talked a little bit about Georgia playing Florida. That was just Florida did not play bad. Georgia wins 43-20. Florida didn't play bad. Georgia just played good.
Really, really good. When Georgia's dialed in.
Other SEC game we didn't talk about, Ole Miss beats Vanderbilt 33-7. I had two interesting things in this game. One was the arrest that occurred up and to my right. I was in I think I was in 10. I think it occurred in 9. But I kept seeing the guy in front of me look up. And he wasn't watching the game. He looked up and I was like, you know how you feel like people are looking at you? And so I kept looking. I was like, oh, he's not looking at me. And I turned and looked. I think they took the wrong guy. He had a newborn and stuff. It was a wild trip. I don't know what happened. I wish I could figure out what happened.
Were people telling the officers that they took the wrong guy?
Yeah, there was a kid that my wife knew, I think that went to Oxford High School, that was telling the police officer that they got the wrong guy, and they wasn't listening to him.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know what happened. It was wild. And then I don't want to out them, but I was sitting next to two fans of the show, and we had our own podcast. We did. We had a great time.
Should have recorded it. We could have uploaded it.
Yeah, we had our own podcast. We talked about some good stuff. They asked me some questions that I could never talk about here, and I just told them.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I don't think the guy, one guy that was sitting next to, I think his wife was mad at me.
Because you were taking his time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had a good time. I enjoyed it. Drank some beers. They had some twisted teas. We had a good time. I had some Miller Lights. It was
all right
because the game was boring as shit.
Well, see, I think Ole Miss just kind of did what good teams do, which is you play an inferior opponent, you whip them, and then they got bored. And anybody's like, well, the second half, stop. That game was over. They knew it was over. They knew what was coming. That was pretty predictable.
Yeah, it was.
It was, Vanderbilt went with Seals, and he was bad. And
all right, that was the most interesting part. The dude that came in for Seals, that was a large man.
Yeah, it was.
That guy was freaking huge.
I give Lane Kiffin a ton of credit for this, and he admitted in the post game that when that kid came in, he was like, "Who's that guy? What's that?" I don't think they were very prepared for that. It didn't matter. He was pretty limited with what he could do, but that was.
But he was trying to run over me. He was so big.
Yeah.
But do we know how big this guy was? I meant to look it up.
6'7", 250 or something like that.
It was the first play he gets in there. He ran quarterback power. I don't know who he freaking just ran right. I want to say his soul.
Dejan Anthony.
I mean, just ran through somebody's soul.
Just ran right over him. And I was like, so that's who? I was like, I'd never heard of this kid, but. Here's the deal for
every third down. I would have gone to empty and just said, "Go get it, big boy."
Here's the deal for Vanderbilt, and this is a reality for them. And I think Saturday was a pretty harsh reality for them. And it's this: you can sit around and wait for change, and hope that this NIL thing gets regulated. I think it's going to be a long wait. I'm on the record here. I know there's a lot of people out there, people that we know that disagree with me, and maybe they're right. I'm not bullhorning. I'm skeptical. Okay, I don't think Congress is going to really take this on. I don't think the NCAA is capable of taking it.
You don't think Congress is going to? You really don't think they're going to do any NIL when it took 4 weeks to vote on a speaker in the House? That is
correct.
That doesn't reassure your confidence in NIL legislation.
And next year is an election year. I don't think they'll do it then. And so I don't believe it. So, but here's the point. In the meantime, these are the rules. And right now there are basically no rules. And if you're not participating in it, you have no chance. And that's the reality for Vanderbilt today, is that right now today, you simply have no chance. It doesn't mean you won't pull off an upset here or an upset there. But the reality is you have no chance. And so you have to decide, are you okay with that? And maybe you are. But if you are, stop wanting to fire coaches and stuff and just go, hey, it is what it is. We have
Everyone to fire Clark Lee?
No, but some of their fans are getting pissed off about play calling and stuff. I'm like, this wasn't about play calling, guys. And you know, I mean, Ole Miss had A&M coming up and then Georgia after that. And Ole Miss had just come off a run of emotional games. You knew, and Bob, I knew I've covered Kiffin long enough to know I'm pretty good at interpreting what he's trying to say. He begged the fans all week, hey, show up, because he knew you guys are going to have to bring energy for us because we're not going to have a whole lot. And he wasn't about to dip into the whole he wasn't, you know what I mean? He was going to treat that as a regular week. He wasn't going to treat it as anything special because he knows what's coming.
Yeah.
For them to have a shot against Georgia in 2 weeks, they got to play the game of their lives. They got to play out of their minds. So he knows that. And for Vanderbilt, that was a cold dose of reality on Saturday. That you're nowhere close.
We've said it before. Until Vanderbilt goes back to the admission rules that they had with James Franklin, it's going to be like this. I don't care how much NIL money they get.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
The NIL, yes, it's extremely important. I'm not saying
well, that's just to keep their players, and then they're going to have to back off the
entrance
stuff, or else they can't get any players out of the portal or whatnot.
People are like, well, James Franklin did it. Well, yeah, he was able to get dudes in there. Okay. And
there was no transfer portal then.
And there was no portal.
We're in a new era.
And then they had the couple kids that got in trouble.
Yeah.
And then they squashed it. Never again.
Yep. So that's where they are.
All right. National games, Kansas, we talked about a little bit. Upsetting Oklahoma. Wasn't surprised. I knew that was a danger game. It always is. They just got outplayed. You know, it happens. Got called on the road. Impressive win to me here. I'm glad I didn't bet on it because I would have bet the other way. Louisville dominated Duke, and Riley Leonard played. I mean, he played. Now, it wasn't very effective. He was like 9 of 23 or something like that. Big win for Louisville.
Yeah.
Like if Riley Leonard doesn't play, people would hold that, oh, Riley Leonard didn't play.
No, Louisville's good. They've had a really good year.
That was a big win. In the most Cal thing ever, Cal somehow loses a game. I don't know how they lost the game. Like, I wasn't even watching the game.
I told you that was a money line candidate.
It was. And
you knew USC was not going to have any juice. There was going to be any energy.
How about this? Did you see that I think I sent this to you, the most Cal thing ever. They had a protest right before kickoff.
Yeah.
Like, here was the best part. I think it was me and Bob were texting about this. I sent it to Bob. Bob's a big USC fan. I sent it to Bob. Bob had a good point. You know, there was a video like 2 weeks ago of a fan running on the field in Tuscaloosa, and the security guard like targeted him, like knocked him out.
Yeah.
Like, these people were just sitting at midfield at kickoff. Do you know what would happen to the group of young people if, let's say, Alabama plays LSU on Saturday?
Yeah.
And there's about 40 people that decide to go sit down at midfield. Do you know how that's going to turn out for them?
It's not going to go well.
There's going to be...
If the cops don't get them, the other fans might.
Oh, my, there's no chance. That wouldn't happen. And they just, look, they sat them in the middle of the field, and there's literally pictures of them. The cops are just standing here looking at them like this. Just silence, just sitting there talking, not even trying to get them up. That would not go well.
What were they protesting?
I don't know. It said, all I could see on the shirts is it said justice for, and then something was written in red that you couldn't read it. So you couldn't even read your shirt. Save your day. You went to jail, and you couldn't even save your shirt.
Was it about the Palestine-Israel thing, or do you know?
I don't know. That was kind of like the guy getting arrested at the Vanderbilt game. I was joking with the guy that I was talking to next to me. I said, you know what? It's one thing if you get arrested at if let's say it was like the Ole Miss LSU game. You could tell your buddies, I got arrested. I was so hostile. I got arrested at the Ole Miss LSU game. I got arrested at the Egg Bowl. I got arrested at the Ole Miss Alabama game. Nope, you can no longer tell that story as long as you live because you got arrested at the Ole Miss Vanderbilt game.
They were protesting a professor being fired. What was the
Quit?
What was the professor being fired for?
Quit. That is. There you go. Justice for
a teacher got fired for sexual misconduct. or stalking another instructor. So they didn't want that teacher to be fired. I swear, man.
It's a beaut, man.
Here's the great news. I tell my kids this all the time. I do. I tell my kids this all the time. I have people go, because I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't worry about everybody else's kids. I worry about my kids.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a reality.
Makes you a normal human.
Makes me normal. Well, you all these people going, kids today. Screw that. I'm glad that you're lowering the bar. Lower the bar, because the kids, like my kids, they're going to be way above the bar. They were going to be above the bar in the first place. But if you really lower the bar, well, now they're like super elite. They're going to be great. They're going to be able to get jobs. They're going to be able to make money. They're going to be able to do whatever they want to do. They're going to be successful. So I tell them all the time, it's a good thing that your generation's completely shot. It's a good thing. You'll have your choice.
That's great. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm totally right.
All right. And
it's just these kids marching around. It's not their fault. It's our generation's fault.
Not my fault, by gosh.
No, not mine either. I mean,
old man yelling, "Cloud, not my fault."
No. I mean, but you know what I'm about to say. Like, you do the thing with the participation trophies and your team that y'all don't go take them.
I hate them.
I knew I had done a good job with Carson. I mean, I knew a long time before, but I knew we had done, is not me, Laura had done a really good job with Carson. When his Tupelo football club team finished second in some tournament where the final was pretty damn chippy and it came down to like one shot and it was a lot of talk and it's loud stuff. And they made him go take that picture and they handed him that medal. And as he walked by a trash can, just deep, I said, yep, there you go.
Hey, do you know what I actually did last night? So upstairs in the man cave, I guess it's not a cave if it's upstairs, whatever you call that, the man cloud. It gets hot as hell up there. So I put a window unit in the back of the house. So I took it out last night because it's getting cold. One of my kids, like their second place rings that they got, it helps prop up the corner.
There you go.
So it was a critical part. I put all the stuff that I needed for next summer. I put it in there. So I had one of those rings popping it up.
There you go.
All right. Georgia Tech upsets UNC. Big loss for UNC.
Big loss for UNC and Georgia Tech having one of the weirdest seasons in the history of weird seasons.
Them and South, man.
They've had some weird losses.
Same
and
thing
some
with
big
South.
wins, yeah.
South and South Alabama and Georgia Tech up and down.
I mean, South Alabama goes to Oklahoma State and blows them out. And then, yeah, just bizarre.
All right, Neal, National Football League. Then we'll get out of here. Neal, you went 1-2-2. Your first game. You had a backdoor to McCready cover or tie.
Yep.
The Commanders lose to the Eagles 38-31. You had the Commanders +7, so you pushed. They jumped out 38-24. Washington was in control of this game the entire game.
Yeah.
The entire game. And then
A.J. Brown happened.
Yeah. Well, he played well the whole game.
Yeah. That's what I mean. He was just too much.
And then when they tried to finally do something and Bracken did stuff like that, Devontae went off. So that push there. And then a game that we had head-to-head, 2-unit swing. You had the Pittsburgh Steelers +2.5. I had the Jaguars -2.5, and the Jags win 20-10.
There's a lot of talk about Mississippi State's offense, about Arkansas's offense, about Iowa's offense. It's all legitimate criticism. Can we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers offense?
Well, that's terrible.
I mean,
people they're asking to fire the OC at the hockey game. They're doing chants.
I mean, I'm a big Mike Tomlin guy. Okay, I think Mike Tomlin's terrific.
Well, yeah, he has never had a losing season.
But Mike, this decision didn't work out. Everybody keeps talking about Matt Canada. No, this is on Tomlin. You hired him.
Yeah, it's bad.
You got to fix this. Because I don't know that – I mean, Pickett's not setting the world on fire, but they're not putting him in many good positions.
Jags have quietly put it together. I don't know how many they're 1 in a row, 5 or 6 now.
Something like that. They're solid. They're really good.
They've quietly put it together.
Because I see another game you got here. I've got a little AFC hot take in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. Your next game, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, the battle of number 1 and number 2 picks.
Yeah, this was a pretty boring game. It made it really easy to flip to Thunder.
You were the only one watching it. You had the Texans minus 3.5, and they lose outright 15-13 to get the Panthers their first win of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, they set it up for a field goal to end the game, and it was a weird ending. I did see the ending of it, but the Texans lose there. As a tie, we both had this game as well. I had the Browns +4. You had the Seahawks -4, and I get backdoor McCready. I got screwed on this one. This one was one I was legit pissed on. That you and I played together. We tied there. End of the game. Browns got the ball, minute 50 left in the game, and instead of running the ball and forcing Seattle to take their timeouts, they're going to try to get the first downs and end the game like on an early down. He throws the ball and hits the freaking the blitzer in the freaking head where the ball bounces up. They pick it off at midfield, score. So that's how you covered there. The Browns when, like, I just don't know, even if Deshaun Watson, they had P.J. Walker playing the game at quarterback. The Browns they're a quarterback away from being really good. They run the ball well.
Those are famous last words in the NFL, though.
I know, but Deshaun Watson, they got one that they paid. He ain't the guy.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But like, they're a quarterback away because everything else they're good. They shouldn't even been in this game. And then you won last night. Let's end with a dub here. You had the Chargers -8.5. They beat the Bears 30-13, and it could have been 770-13.
Yeah.
That was just a complete and utter ass kicking. It never was a game.
Why that game got put on Sunday night is beyond me.
No idea, unless it was just something they did early in the season. Have they hit their flex part yet?
No, but I mean, I don't know. I guess they were thinking that Fields would be better.
Yeah, if it was a Fields Herbert thing, I don't know. But it
Fields,
was.
by the way, pushing back finally. He's about had enough. He's criticizing the coaching because the coaching is privately criticizing him. That deal is not going to end well.
No, they could be in a situation where they get the number 1 and number 2 pick. And if they do that, his ass is gone.
Yeah, but talking bad about him behind the scenes is not the way you raise his trade value, for God's sake.
Oh, I agree. I went 4-0-1 in the NFL. Besides the 2 games we just talked about, I had the Saints. I actually picked the Saints. This is the first time in a long time your boys picked the Saints. So Vibin would be proud of me. I took the Saints and I pick them. They win 38-27. Really started out rough, but just like any other NFL game, and eventually the talent takes over. Derek Carr playing really well last 2 weeks. I like played well tonight, threw the ball very well. They stretched it out. Defense played well in the second half. They handled that pretty good. Man, when Taysom Hill gets in at quarterback and they run their quarterback run package, that's deadly, man. They couldn't slow him down. They could have ran quarterback run until they puked last night. I had the Dolphins -9. They beat the Panthers 31. The Patriots, I'm sorry, 31-17. They played with their food a little bit in this game. Offensively, they turned the ball over, had some stupid turnovers. This game should have been a blowout. They won by 14. They should have won by like 28, but they covered. Sets up a big game this coming Sunday. They play Teas and Crumpets Thursday morning. I guess it's not Teas and Crumpets. We'll have to figure out.
They play Thursday morning?
Sunday morning.
Okay.
8:30. I think it's actually, we'll have to do some bratwurst. I think they're in Germany. They're playing the Chiefs, Dolphins Chiefs, Sunday morning at 8:30. Get your freaking Sunday started off with that. And then, Neal, I'm wrapping this bad boy up with this one. And I know I was the only one, me and whoever bet on this game were the only 2 people watching this. I know Weldon bet the same bet I did. So I think we were the only 2 watching it. In the greatest cover in the history of bets, this is the greatest backdoor McCready cover of all time. I had the Cardinals, my plus 9.5. Okay.
Yep.
They are down 16 points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
They're down 16. They score with about a minute to go in the game, track garbage time, to bring it to 10. Well, they have to go for 2 to make it 8, Neal. Dobbs scrambles, leaps for the corner of the pylon. He gets in. 2-point conversion, good. Bring it to 8. Nope. Wipe it off. Flag for holding. I'm like, oh. They back it up to the 12. They go for 2. Don't get it. Down 10. No timeouts. A minute to go in the game. They kick the onside kick and get it. I don't even know what the percentage of onside kicks is in the NFL right now.
Has to be very low.
It's very low. They get the onside kick. They have the ball, no timeouts at like the 40-yard line, minus 40, and they're down 10.
So they kick a field goal.
So they're out of timeouts. And so they throw a long one down the middle of the field to tight end. He catches it, goes down at like the 20. They actually like wasted so much time they didn't spike it. I thought they were going to try to score a touchdown. They threw a fade. It was like 20 seconds to go, so they sent the kicker out there to kick the field goal to cut it to 7. And hell, it gets better, Neal.
I'm not even remotely surprised.
Oh, it gets better, Neal. You ready for this?
Sure.
Prater, they line up, they kick it. He misses the field goal. But guess what, Neal? False start on the offense. They backed him up 5, and then he hits it.
I'm just not even a little surprised.
Cover, backdoor McCready cover. So that finished up week number 9 of McCready and Siskey picks. We're going into week 10 with Neal leading by 6.57 units. Real quick before we get out of here, Neal, a couple of NFL notes. Bengals destroy the 49ers yesterday.
Yes.
49ers lost 3 in a row. They've gone from being this Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams have been out.
Yes.
And they're not playing well. Purdy's not playing great.
Nope.
Defensively, they're giving up too much, and they're not even missing many people on defense. And the Bengals, this was great. The Bengals literally used, because they can't protect anyway, they freaking 3-stepped and checked down. They just, and then got everybody up and then went over the top. I mean, it was vintage.
It's almost like they had a couple of weeks and said, hey, let's reevaluate what we're doing. And it also was like Burrow's finally getting healthy. Burrow moved around really well.
Had a bye week, and he looked normal.
He looked really, really good. I thought he looked better than he's looked in a long time.
For sure the best he's looked this year.
Yeah. But I mean, it's been a minute since he looked like that.
Yeah. He left, they had quarterback draw called on 3rd and 9. I mean, they did some things.
And defensively, they're okay.
Yeah. No, they played well, man. It wasn't even that close. I mean, they won by what?
If they
13 points.
If they can package that, and they did this last year. This is about the time that they got hot last year. If they can package that, they're gonna be a tough out.
Yep.
And the way they're using Jamar Chase all over the field, his route chart yesterday was like incredible. You just don't see that. The way they're using Chase with all the other weapons they have, they got a real shot.
Yeah.
Because you look at the AFC, and yeah, Kansas City and Jacksonville's good, Buffalo's good. There's some good teams, but there's nobody that is this dominant force that you go, okay, well, there's no way you could go to Arrowhead and win, or there's no way you could go to Jacksonville and win. That's just not the case. I think Cincinnati remains very much a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, because the literally team me up for the next one. The Broncos at home destroy the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday, 24-9. Kansas City scores 0 touchdowns against the Broncos, who 2 weeks ago were the worst defense in the NFL.
Mahomes was sick. He didn't feel well. He played like he didn't feel well. But what you saw in that game was the epitome of what the NFL has become, and it's why this draft is so big. It's why we'll get 3 months of talk off the draft. This is a quarterback league. 100%. And you saw what the Chiefs look like when their quarterback is mortal. And look, I'm not this is no hot take on Mahomes. He's awesome. He remains, if you tell me I can have one guy, I want him. But when he was off his game, he just didn't feel good. He probably felt horrible. Probably didn't need to be playing. But you're not going to ever get him to, hey, I've got the flu, I'm not going to play. He's going to play. But you saw what the Chiefs are without a great quarterback. Pedestrian.
Yeah.
That's the story of that league. And it's why with Caleb Williams and Drake May and those kind of people coming out, if you're in a position to get a franchise quarterback,
Bears.
you have to get a franchise quarterback. And if you're in a position to get a franchise quarterback and you draft wrong,
screwed.
It haunts you.
Bears.
It haunts you. It just haunts you.
Bears need one and have the history of destroying it.
It's that simple. Look at the Bengals. The Bengals, when Burrow wasn't healthy, they were pretty pedestrian. This is a Bengals team that went to a Super Bowl and went to the AFC title game in back-to-back seasons. They looked pretty pedestrian. Then suddenly Burrow's healthy finally. He played healthy yesterday. He was pushing off his back foot. He was running. All of a sudden you go, oh, they go to San Francisco, win by 2 touchdowns, and you go, this is a Super Bowl team. That's this league. It's what makes the league fun. It's frankly what makes that league interesting for any fan base is because if you feel like you have your quarterback, you got a shot. Flip side, if you don't, you really don't.
Some quarterback notes. Now that you said that, team me up for that one. A couple things. You know who else doesn't get a lot of credit? Is doing a really good job really the last 2 years. Used to get killed. And was a high draft pick, and it didn't work out, but it's doing really well right now.
Who?
Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for the Jets. Bounced around. Found a home in Seattle.
Yeah. No, he's good.
And he's playing well right now.
I wonder if he's good enough. But look.
He is right now.
They could win the West.
I mean, all you got to beat San Francisco, right?
Yeah, San Fran's got some issues.
And then I haven't seen him in here today, and I probably know why. He's probably struggling today. Our good friend GJG, big Falcons guy. Desmond Ridder gets benched yesterday. He didn't got benched for Heineke. So that tells you all you need to know. And same game. I haven't heard these guys. I don't. It's funny how this works out. Where are all the Will Levis haters at today? Can you hear him in the distance?
I'll never. And I'm not saying Levis is going to be a great quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. But I'll never understand. We do. Everyone's doing it with Bryce Young. You got to give the rookie quarterback a little time.
Shit, that was his first start.
Got to give rookie quarterbacks a little time.
Let me tell you what Will Levis did. He did the greatest thing that any rookie quarterback can do. That Tannehill didn't want to do. Malik Willis, he can't do. When you're in trouble, Neal, and you got a pass play called and no one else is open, do you know what you do if you're the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans? This is what I would literally, if I knew Will Levis, if I was Will Levis's agent, I'd say, this is what you're going to do. You're going to run the play called, and when you can't find anybody open, you close your eyes and you throw that bitch up to D-Hop and let him go get it. That's what you do. You throw it to players because they will make you right more than you're going to be wrong. Yep. Jalen Hurts. Hey, man, Jalen, look. If all else fails, close your eyes and throw that bitch to AJ. He's going to make a play. It's amazing how that works out. And then a sad note, because you and I both came to really like this guy over the summer with our Netflix special. Kirk Cousins tears his Achilles. Done for the year. Probably done as a Viking.
Yeah. Maybe done.
Maybe. There's probably he may have one more journeyman shot somewhere, but
it's a shame though.
He's a good dude, man. Great guy. I mean, after you watch that Netflix special, great guy.
You hate to see guys.
You don't want him to end it like that.
I always hate to see guys get hurt. Period.
But he knew it. He kind of did it and then ran off and sat down on the bench like in the middle of the play. It's just sad that it went down that way. And last thing, then we're done. Tonight, Neal, Monday Night Football. Mr. Monday, Thursday night's got his swag back a little bit after the weekend that I had. Mr. Monday, Thursday night has a play tonight, Neal. The Detroit Lions are at home, and they're hosting your Las Vegas Raiders. The Lions are favored by 7.5.
Is it down to 7.5?
But Neal, that's not what I did. I've already made the play.
Yep.
I bought a point.
Okay.
Cost me $5, but I bought the point. I have the Lions on betonline.ag. I got the Lions minus 6.5 for tonight. I didn't like the half hook.
I think they'll cover that.
I like the Lions at home because the Raiders got to come across twice. I know
Yep.
they got a little time, but it's a night game. But
I won't see that one. I've got exhibition basketball, and I will be writing.
well,
I got Ole Miss Tusculum
I had a
on a Monday night on a game that doesn't count.
it's got to be.
That's when you know you've made it. That's when you know you've arrived.
All right, so serious question here, because now we're just bullshit. I'm done. What do you like? What is the story?
I don't know.
Like, what are you looking for?
I
mean, because they're all going to look good.
I suspect there will be a lot of people there.
Excitement. Okay.
There's
all right, now we're going. Let's write the story. We're good. Excitement.
I'm not really good at that story because that story is really for next week.
Okay.
That's the story you write on the opening night when they play Alabama State in a game that counts.
Okay.
And so,
is that their first official game?
yes.
Okay. When is that?
A week from tonight.
All right.
So I will probably keep it short and just write about I'll probably build it around what he says afterwards. Because I'm not going to be the guy that reads a lot into what they do against Tusculum.
Why not?
Because it's stupid. And I'm not going to pay much attention to his rotations unless they look like a game rotation.
Okay.
But if he's clearly, hey, I'm getting everybody out here, we're going to get, which is what most coaches do in exhibitions, we're going to get everybody some minutes, going to get everybody some run, going to get the new guys used to playing in this building with crowds and officials and the whole deal. I can't get into rotations. So unless there's like news on their two waiver guys, there's not a lot. But it's one of those things where unless he says something profound, I don't know what there is to really take from it, but it's one of those things you have to cover.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like going to the Ole Miss basketball games. That's a thing that me and my kids enjoy doing together. Usually the midweek games. Knox is usually the excited ones because he knows if he can go to a basketball game, he can stay up late. But we do the. I am going to be a little disappointed though because I'm sure my last minute tickets that I usually get. I mean, dude, last year, I shit you not. Last year I got tickets for basically the fees. I never paid more than $4 for a ticket last year. And I went to probably 10 games.
Yeah, it'll be a lot different than that this year, I think.
I do too. I'm interested.
Yeah, no, they did. It was brilliant on their part to bite the bullet and hire him because I think they were afraid there'd be a lot of backlash. There really wasn't. And they've handled it really well. And he's the deal. He's really good. Now, I don't know that they have the players this year to make some sort of a tournament run. I don't like that narrative of tournament or bust. I don't think that's fair to Beard. I don't think it's fair to the kids. I don't think it's fair to that program. But I do think they're going to be much improved. And I think they're going to be much more competitive. Nothing against that team last season. But look, you know this. When the writing's on the wall, you just don't play the same way.
It's tough. It makes it very difficult. And I couldn't imagine doing it now. Like, that's what I'm interested in. Somebody like Arkansas, right? Arkansas is what, 2-6 or 2-7? They're 2-6.
2-6.
If Arkansas loses this game, it removes all which we get it, but
it could crater.
It officially removes all hope from making a bowl game. All right, and you live in this world of the portal. How checked out is a team that's 2-7 hosting Auburn?
Big time.
Now you got Auburn, who probably is going to go to Vandy and win. They're 5-4.
Meanwhile, what's interesting there, right, is on Saturday they played Purdue in an exhibition basketball game. Place was sold out.
Wow. That's a good game, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in their defense, it's a damn good exhibition game.
That's the crazy part. Like, not to get on that topic, but if you're them, I mean, that's where you, as an athletics department, maybe you scratch your head and you look at each other and go, maybe we're just not meant to be good at football. Maybe we need to be a power in this. I don't know.
They've already made that decision.
I think they have.
But
if that's the case, then you don't fire Sam Pittman and pay him $10 million to go away. That's my point. My point is not the joking part. It's the money part. Hey, if we're not really going to be serious about this, just let him coach. Let's put the money in other stuff. But if you're going to be serious about it, and this is the problem that some of these programs have, you got to figure out how to get either money for both, or how do you move some of that money to this? And what happens if you move some of that money for this? Are you just making two sports mediocre?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you can get, what's that place hold? 18, 19? It's a huge.
Bud Walton?
Yeah. Not that big. 14, 15.
14 or 15.
When you can put, let's call it 14 just for keep it conservative. Okay. You can get 14,000 people on a Saturday in October to come to a basketball game. That doesn't count. You got it going.
Yeah. What are they preseason this year?
Like 13 or 14, somewhere in there.
You got me curious now. I got to look it up. Bud Walton Arena holds 19,200.
19.2.
Yeah.
It was packed out. So they got 19,000 plus on a Saturday in October for a game that doesn't count.
It's pretty good.
But you can't do anything in football. And maybe that's who you are. And sometimes that's like one of those things that you just have to acknowledge. And maybe it's what's interesting here. It's one of the things I'm watching at Ole Miss. And then we'll go. Kiffin's got it rolling. He's 25-9 in the last 3 seasons. That's good by anyone's standard.
Mm-hmm.
And by Ole Miss's standards, that's way. I mean, he has taken the floor of that program and raised it. But to do it, he's done it through portal. That's where he's done the lion's share of his work is in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
The portal's expensive. Portal gets more expensive every year. So to stay there, you have to continue to do it that way. It's a lot of turnover. Is there anything left after that? Is there enough left after that to truly be as competitive as Chris Beard wants to be in basketball? It's one of the things I'm watching. I'm not saying that the answer is no. I don't know. But that's one of the things I'm watching. Eric Musselman clearly is benefiting from football being poor.
Who are the NIL players in basketball in the league? Like that you know of? That are really doing it.
I mean, kind of everybody's doing it.
I mean, like you know how you would say USC.
Yeah, I mean it's
Texas.
I mean Missouri, Arkansas,
LSU.
Yeah, LSU, but he's rebuilding a train wreck, because
Right.
Wade that cratered.
Right.
I don't know how much that he'll try to do when he's got it going.
Is Auburn splitting it with Pearl?
Yeah, Pearl's gotten in it. Alabama's been involved in the portal. Yeah. Alabama shopped at the high end of the portal. That's the thing about basketball is that the top end of the portal is pretty damn expensive.
One player counts as a lot.
And one player's a lot. Yeah, it's expensive. And so just the question comes, you have a budget as a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys, if we take this trip to Disney World, we can't go to the beach this summer. If we go to the beach this summer, we can't go to instead of going to Disney World, maybe we can go to Six Flags. But we can't do both.
Yeah.
All right. Some of those, I think some of the departments have those questions. Hey, do we want to go to Disney World or we want to go to the beach? Which is it? Because I don't know that we can do both. Or maybe we can go to Disney World and make a small trip to the beach. But we can't go for a week. We can go for a weekend. We can go to the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to go to the beach. Okay, well, we can't go to Disney World. But I want to go to Disney World. Well, then we're going to have to come up with more money, right? And so that's what I'm watching that at like Kentucky, for example. Clearly at Arkansas, it's a thing. And at Ole Miss, with Kiffin going the way he's going, I mean, you show me a scenario where like let's say they go 10-2 this year and go to the Orange Cotton whatever bowl that is. That's 2 access bowls in 3 years. He's gonna be able to get what he wants to a certain degree. But if you get that, you can't keep going back to the same people going, okay, hey, we need you to give to basketball now too. Right. And then if they do, people go, what about baseball? I don't know that at some of these schools, and I think Arkansas is one. I think Kentucky's one. I don't know how many schools would not fall in this. I don't know that you can do it all with the prices where they are. Georgia doesn't have a lot of money for basketball.
Yeah, agreed.
They don't have a lot of money for baseball.
They've put
it's all in football, and it's worth it, right? But they're not winning in everything else.
It's working out pretty good for
them.
them.
So it's interesting. It
didn't work out for Tom Crean very well.
It's the interesting thing to follow as we kind of move along. When people have success in other sports, what is that sport worth to you as it pertains to football?
Yep.
All right, we'll roll. Thanks to everybody for being with us. Thanks to our friends at Rain, of course. Rain Total Body Fuel. Go to Rain Body Fuel on Instagram to learn more. Please support them. Hit them up with a message or whatever. And obviously, when you're out and about, buy Rain products. We certainly appreciate it.
Also, I want to thank everybody in the Cooper Chevrolet chat. Reminder, Cooper Chevrolet in Anniston is busting high interest rates with a super low financing and no payments for 90 days on most SUVs. You can also get 2.9% APR or over $4,200 off of the Chevy Equinox. Or you can also get a 2.1% APR on the Blazer, Trailblazer, and Traverse, which I just purchased, a nice white one. Even on the Silverado Heavy Duty. Learn more at cooperchevrolet.com.
We'll be back on Tuesday, tomorrow, for another edition of McCready and Siskey. Until then, take care.